The gun rights debate is taking center stage in the Wild West, also on this program early this week, but it's a different topic. Activists, they rallied outside of the state capitol in Austin. That as lawmakers gathered to meet for the first day of the legislative session this Tuesday. Now, the gun rights group, they're pushing for relaxed gun laws beyond what they already have. What they want is they want to get rid of entirely the state's handgun licensing requirements so that you can walk into Dick's and get a rifle, you can walk in and get a handgun too. And they also want to have open carry laws too. But let's not let the facts get in the way. Where this went was where the protest went. And it did not come without controversy. The altercation we're about to show you has the House of Texas approving a measure to install panic buttons in lawmakers' offices. Again, before I clear this, just so we're clear. So there's a protest outside where guys were literally carrying rifles, shotguns, etc. Put down the guns before they went into the state capitol, some of the protesters. It got so heated, some of the lawmakers considering the legislation want to now have panic buttons. And here's the clip.
Hey, you need to leave now. You need to leave. I'm asking you to leave my office.
I'm asking you to leave my state because you don't take your oath seriously.
You need to leave my offices. You need to leave my office now.
Read the Constitution.
You need to leave my office. You need to leave my office. Leave my office. Get your foot out of the door.
What are you going to do?
So with that, I'll show you another side to this debate. And this took place in Michigan, where the governor, Republican governor, Mr. Snyder here, Rick Snyder, he brought a blow to the NRA that a lot of people didn't see coming. He vetoed a bill that would have put gun right activists against anti-domestic violence organizations and former Arizona Congresswoman Gabby Giffords. He took a principle stand, Andrew, and that he, even though it got through the legislature, he vetoed it. And what I'm going to be fascinated with is whether there'll be a political price to pay or actually might pick up a few votes in the process.
I mean, the NRA was definitely backing that bill. If memory serves, he vetoed it because I think it would have made it too easy for people who had protection orders against them or domestic violence cases that were pending to get guns and potentially use them against their loved ones. So he may have a little bit more public support, even despite the NRA's objection to that. I can't wait to talk about the thing in Texas.
Well, let's go there because you covered news in Texas for a while. I mean, that's crazy.
I mean, take it out of the state legislature. Put it in any workplace or any restaurant that you're at. There's somebody who you know has a long gun, has a rifle or a shotgun or an automatic weapon because you saw them stringing it on their backs earlier in the day, basically saying, like, what are you going to do? Like, you're trying to kick me out of your office. What are you going to do if I don't get out of your way? That would put the fear of you-know-what into anybody because you know the potential downside for doing this. These are state lawmakers in the state capitol. By the way, you can carry a gun almost anywhere in the state of Texas, but it's illegal to have one in the state house because they're dumb, but they're not stupid. And their recourse is either more guns all over the place or you put a panic button in. What kind of message does that send to everybody else?
The panic button is, I'm sorry to go the other way, but it's a PR stunt. Panic button is they got somebody like me saying, I'll tell you what we do. We call for a bill to allow panic buttons, and I'm writing that press release and sending it out. I mean, it's a good PR ploy. But hey, it's Texas. I mean, Texas is a gun state.
Well, maybe I don't get it, but I don't see anything wrong. Well, one, you'd have to be a fool to allow guns into the state house. That's number one. So I don't see anything wrong with that. Number two, you'd have to be a fool to not have a panic button in your office. What message is that sending?
They got guards in the state house. They got telephones.
You're elected lawmakers. What's wrong with having a panic button?
Take the panic button out of it for a second.
It's a phone.
When somebody who you know has an automatic weapon strapped to their back or waiting out on the truck or whatever,
I don't think they should have in the capitol.
and they're giving you a hard time. They're in your face as
They
that
don't have
guy
the
was
gun
in your
on
face.
their
They don't have the gun on.
They don't have the gun on, but you know that's not too far of a trip for them to go get their gun because you know
but they
that they're
can't come
armed.
back in with the gun.
They can find you in the parking lot. They can find you going down the street. I mean, if you're threatened by somebody who you know has a gun, that changes the dynamic of your relationship with that person.
At the risk, because I'd love to keep talking about panic buttons, but to me, and I got in a debate with Obie on this one, and let me do the disclaimer. I don't want to get rid of the Second Amendment. It's not going to go away in my lifetime. You're going to still have the right to bear arms. What I just don't get is how, when we can figure stuff out in this country, right? I mean, we make fun of, when we talk about how dysfunctional Washington and every state capital is, and it's fair, okay, but still, we do figure stuff out. I don't want guys with M16s in Starbucks. It's stupid. you know, I don't want, frankly, guys in bars packing heat, right? I mean, how does this make sense? This is stupid, okay? And that doesn't mean you can't have it, but you can't drive your car into Starbucks, too. There's certain things that don't make sense, right? So my point is, Bill, do you think in our lifetime sanity will enter into the conversation with this? I mean, it's like, remember you said before, I think you said, Bill, just because you can say something doesn't mean you have to.
Right.
Just because you can have a gun, do you really need to? How's that comfortable, right? And these two you know what, are like, come on.
Right.
I mean,
I think you could.
Can't believe I have a debate about
You
this.
could have PR stunts on both sides. You know what I mean? It's like where your M16 Starbucks today. I think on its face it's ridiculous. I agree with you, but I think you know the gun rights people are trying to make a point there, and they're trying to get the cameras on them, and there's a reason that they're being photographed because they probably sent a press release out saying, "Come and get us at Starbucks."
Is there a point that they're idiots? I mean, no, but seriously.
No. I think it's a deeply cultural thing. I didn't grow up in a gun culture. We didn't have guns in my household, but I think for gun people, it's a last resort, and they're very, very concerned about gradualism and about taking away their right.
My only point about that is, in Texas, in every state where this is a major issue, gun rights have expanded since Newtown. They have not contracted. In New York and Connecticut, okay, a couple of the places in this country, a little bit. But nowhere, you can't point to any evidence. More guns have been sold since Newtown on a prorated basis than they did before. There's more gun rights than you ever had before.
It's because most people want it. Most people. We're not necessarily reflective of the rest of the country. Even Chuck Schumer, when he was running the Democratic campaign, said, stay away from the gun issue. You can't win it. I mean, most Americans want that.
There's two delusions at play here. The first delusion, which has gone ever since Columbine and maybe before that, is that the anti-gun activists, the gun control groups, are going to use any gun tragedy to try to confiscate guns. And that's been sponsored by the NRA, and that's been spread by gun supporters.
With no evidence.
And that is a delusion, because as you say, the evidence goes the other way. The other delusion is that somehow, back in the day of the Wild West, not the actual Wild West, but the movie Wild Wests, that everybody was safe because everybody had a gun on their holster. And it pays no attention to the fact that a lot of people died in their 20s and 30s back then, that a lot of disputes were settled with guns, and people, that Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr had a duel. Two of our founding fathers had a duel, and one of them was
romantic,
killed.
though. That was...
No, it wasn't romantic. It was, but it's that somehow if everybody's got a gun, everybody's going to be safe because nobody's going to pull the trigger, and it ignores every realistic aspect of history. This is not the Old West. This is not some sort of swinging cowboy day where that's the way that everything gets settled. And I don't think that's the country that most people want to have.
And you know what the shame of it is? Nobody wants to hear the fact that in the last couple of weeks, and I know I got to hit to a break, 5-year-old kid shot another 5-year-old kid in the home. A mom was shot by the kid going into her purse because she had to bring the gun into the store, right? I mean, I can go chapter and verse in this. This is not making us safer as a country. I don't know. Okay. Next. It has been a year since Colorado legalized marijuana. We're talking about everything here. Pot, guns, and everything. Anyway, so the question is, and I'm curious about this too, how has it gone a year later? Has this made money for Colorado? Has everybody had the munchies in Colorado in the past year? What is the real evidence? And a year from now, would you want this in your state? New York, New Jersey, Connecticut? Think about it. We'll come back with that after this.